Kim here, Abundant Life Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me. And we are talking about my 5 tarot decks on my wish list. Decks that I am fairly confident I'll be adding to my collection in 2025. And I have a number of decks on my wish list. How many of you actually have a working wish list that you add or take off, or it's an ever-evolving list? For me, I do have that, and I was like, I need to categorize what decks am I very likely going to get. So I have very likely, likely, and then unlikely. And I filtered on my little handy-dandy spreadsheet by the very likely tarot decks I'm going to get. And these are the decks that I am planning to get. I can't wait to share them with you. So now what we're going to do is go through as I share my 5 decks that are on my wish list, tarot decks to be exact. Let's get into it. So before we get into my actual list, my very short list of tarot decks I plan to add in 2025, I want to also share with you my new to the collection interview spread. I do this spread when I am seriously considering adding a deck, doesn't matter what kind of deck, tarot, oracle, to the collection. And I do this because it gives me a pulse on whether or not I want to add a deck to the collection. How will I feel about that deck 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 12 months from now? How would I best work with this deck? Is this a deck that's just going to sit on the shelf, or is it going to be one that I work with? What role would it play in my collection? How would I feel about that role in my collection? I am a collector, yes, but more importantly to me, I'm a reader. And the more I grow in my reading skills, the more important it is for me not to just have a pretty, fancy indie deck that's expensive. I want a deck that works as well as be beautiful, right? So that's important to me. That is a value of mine. My values have shifted and changed over the years in my collecting habits, and I bet it has been the same for you. So I do this spread. And what I then do once I do the spread is I add the deck to my wish list. And the wish list gets a ranking, or the item on the wish list gets a ranking. Either it's likely I'm going to get it, very likely I'm going to get that deck, or unlikely. And unlikely could be for a number of reasons. The one unlikely deck that's on my list right now, ironically enough, is the Golden Girls Tarot, because I believed for the longest time that even though it was mass market, that I would be able to get my hands on it, and then it went out of print. And so now it's kind of like, ooh, I don't know if I'm going to get the deck. But I keep it on the list because it is a deck that I one day hope to get. So yeah, but I rank the likelihood of the purchase. So that's what I do. And then what I do is I filter by very likely to help me decide, is these the decks that I want to get sooner than later? And why is that? So it's all a part of my analysis of my little handy dandy spreadsheets. All right, now let's get to my list of decks I want to add to the collection. First up is Nova Witch Tarot, and this deck was recommended to me by one of my favorite subscribers and group members at Abundant Life Tarot Group on Facebook, Adam Bluefire. Thank you, Adam. I saw this deck and I was like, this is one to check out, to explore a bit further. And the reason is that it's a beautiful art style. I love the color palette, but more importantly, what I'm really appreciating is the take on the tarot meaning. It's like the different vantage points that we're seeing the lovers in, the Lover's card, for example, or looking at different ways of exploring how to interpret the Rider-Waite-Smith meanings, but in a fresh way. And when we are collecting decks, one of the things we are looking for is a fresh perspective, right? And so this deck definitely offers a fresh perspective. And I really appreciate what I think is going to be a nice, clear, sharp voice and a chance to explore tarot a bit deeper with this deck. And the description that I found on Amazon indicates that it is something that new tarot readers could dig into. However, I can't attest to that, but it does say it in the description, so check that out. But nevertheless, I am excited about what Nova Witch Tarot has to offer, and I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on this deck. Next up is the Rhythm and Soul Tarot, and this deck is created by Stacey Williams Ng. And I've talked about this deck a few times on the channel before because it has shown up on past wish lists. It has gone through Kickstarter, it was successfully funded, it's gone through the pre-order phase, and now this deck is available both on the creator's website and on Etsy. And I've been wanting it. And one thing about me and my wish list is that if a deck lingers around for a long time, it means one of two things. It means either this is a highly coveted deck, or this is one that maybe I need to let go and just say, you know what, it's not for me. For me, it's the former. I am really attracted to this deck. I am a music lover. My family has deep roots in Southern, music, blues, rock and roll, country even. So I am really drawn to this deck. Anytime a deck comes out that's representing the United States South, I'm probably going to be drawn to it, okay? Both of my parents are from Mississippi, and I've spent summers there, and it just calls to me. And yeah, I'm thinking that I'm finally going to pull the freaking trigger and purchase this deck. Do you have this deck? Let me know what your thoughts are. How do you work with this deck in particular is what I would like to know. Or what draws you to it? Like, what are your favorite cards? Next up is the Earth Woman Tarot deck. This is a low Scarabeo deck. It's created by Tarn Ellis, and I love the artwork. I love that the faces do not have expressions. It's featureless faces. I know some people don't appreciate that because you can learn a lot from the cards by looking at the expressions if they're done right by an artist, right? But I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this presentation that we get with the Earth Woman Tarot deck. I love the divine feminine energy that's coming through. I immediately thought and felt like this would be a great deck for my self-love, self-care readings. I want to really start, I offer them because people ask for self-care readings from time to time, but I want a specific offering and have particular decks I want to work with for that offering. And this came to mind when I saw it. And this one has been coming in and out of print. It's like a temporary in and out of print situation. I've been paying attention to it and noticing that it'll go out of stock on Amazon, all the other major retailers, including Llewellyn's site. And it feels like they're doing small batch runs is what's happening here. The publisher is not doing huge batch runs of this deck, but it's in print. It's just that every time I get ready to purchase it, it is showing that it's not available. But I'm a patient soul, and I know that when it is time to come into my collection, it will. But yeah, I'm curious to hear what you all think of this one. Do you have it? And if you do, what are ways in which you work with it? So next up we have the Deck of the Odd Tarot. This is on Etsy. It's an indie deck and it's a limited edition small batch deck that's created, and I am definitely excited about it. Like, it really makes my little collage loving heart so happy. Like, one of the art styles that I truly have appreciated since the start of my time collecting decks is collage. And I feel like this is a successful rendition of collage. Like, the execution of it, the choice of the colors and the images is like chef's kiss, really, truly. And I know that this feels like a deck I can just instantly start using. I can feel it. It's just jumping out at me, and I get a strong yes in terms of, do I want to add this to my collection? It rings true for those of us who are more traditionalists when it comes to wanting to have that Rider-Waite-Smith meaning, like, you know, at the core or at the heart of what the artwork is saying. But it then goes off in new and creative ways as well. So it allows for the more seasoned reader to stretch a bit in their interpretations of the meanings. I am loving the deck. Okay, it's 79 cards, it's standard size tarot for 10 GSM, and it's got a 108-page full color guidebook written by the creator, whom I believe her first name is Sarah. That's all I was able to find on Etsy. But yeah, I'm so glad that this deck showed up on my radar. It really, truly is probably at the top of my list in terms of adding a tarot deck that's indie to my collection. Have you heard of this one? And I'm definitely like wanting to get it. I do have a little bit of FOMO because of that limited edition small batch run, but I'm also going to keep the faith that what is mine, and that in due time I will add it to the collection. All right, let's move on. All right, so we have the last one I want to talk to you all about, and this is a deck called Echoes Through Time Tarot, and it's by Lynn Thurman, and you can get it on Etsy. And there was a whole Kickstarter campaign that I somehow missed out on, didn't even hear about this deck, but nevertheless, it, you know, funded. I'm sure it's gone through the pre-order phase, and now you can get your hands on a copy, hopefully, on Etsy. I am just so smitten by the deck. Again, it's that collage style that draws me in. One of my dear members, Lila, recommended it to me, and she showed a few cards during one of our live Zoom reading labs that we do each month together, and I was like, oh my goodness, I have to have this deck. So I checked it out, and then I looked. The cost to ship from the UK, United Kingdom, to US is $21.15. And then I'm probably going to have to pay from US to the Dominican Republic about $5 or $6 additional. And yeah, gonna have to do that. And if I want this deck, and I think it's worth it. I really do. You know, I think long and hard about decks that are costly to ship now. I didn't so much when I first started collecting, but now it matters. And, you know, I would be heartbroken if it got lost, because you're not only losing out on the money for the deck itself, but shipping. So anyways, the artwork is stunning. The majors are beautiful and evocative. The minors tell their own little stories within their suits. And I would love to hear from you, especially if you have this deck. What are your favorite cards, and how do you work with this deck? Okay, I want to hear. So there you have it, folks. I want to hear from you. What is on your 2025 Tarot Deck wish list? Be sure to share in the comment section down below what new decks are coming out. Enlighten us. One of my favorite videos to do year over year is this one, because inevitably there's always someone who knows about a great new deck and they share in the comments and we're all like obsessing over it. So don't be shy. Leave me a quick comment and let me know you watched and you know, got something from it or not. That's okay too. All right, do me a favor on your way out. Please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You take very good care of yourselves, okay? Be sure to watch the Oracle version of my Oracle Deck Wishlist 2025. Bye for now.